When you're building something new, whether it's a community or a company, the pressure to grow fast is just immense. We're all conditioned to see those big user numbers as the ultimate sign we've made it. But what if I told you that chasing that rapid growth is exactly what's setting you up for failure? Yeah, there's a hidden danger in growing too early, a trap that so many ventures fall into. And it all boils down to one thing: the difference between just collecting connections and building real relationships. So, let's just get right to it. You've seen this happen, I've seen this happen. Why do so many promising new communities and networks just die? They have a splashy launch, a rush of new signups, and then nothing. It becomes a ghost town. What is the one big mistake they're all making?
This quote just hits the nail on the head. Without some kind of structure, you get a whole lot of noise long before you ever get any value. It's kind of like a party where the music is blasting so loud that nobody can actually talk to each other. Sure, the room is full, but no real connection is happening. The network might look big, but it's not actually good.
And that is the absolute core of the problem we're going to unpack. People are chasing the wrong kind of growth at the absolute worst time. It turns out there are really two ways to grow. And picking the right one first, well, that's the secret to building something that actually sticks around. Okay, so let's break this down. This framework is so crucial. It really comes down to these two distinct paths: reach versus density. And honestly, getting this right changes everything. This is the idea that separates the projects that thrive from the ones that just wither away. Just look at the difference here. Reach is the flashy one, right? It's all about adding more and more users, creating lots of weak ties. It gives you those vanity metrics that look amazing on a chart. But then you have density. It's totally different. It's about making the connections you already have stronger. It's slower for sure and way less visible from the outside, but man, it builds something incredibly resilient. And here it is. This is the critical, fatal mistake. Most new ventures go all in on reach from day one. They throw all their energy into getting more people through the door, building this wide but incredibly shallow network of strangers. And they do it before they've even built anything valuable enough to make those people stay. So okay, if chasing reach is the big mistake, then density is the solution. But why? Why is this slower, more deliberate approach so much more powerful, especially at the beginning? Let's dig into the principles that make density the absolute winning strategy. First off, you can't just scale trust from day one. It doesn't work that way. Trust has to be built in small, tight-knit groups first. I mean, think about it in your own life. You trust your close friends because you have shared experiences. Powerful networks are built on that exact same idea, starting with these small pockets of really high trust. Second, for any network to actually feel relevant to its members, those members need some kind of shared context, right? A totally random group of people doesn't really have much to talk about, but a group of people from the same city or who share the same niche hobby, all of a sudden the conversations become incredibly valuable. And finally, people are just way more likely to engage, to post, to contribute, to actually participate when they feel like they know the other people there. You're way more likely to speak up in a small room of familiar faces than you are in a giant stadium full of strangers. Density builds that cozy, comfortable room where people feel safe to engage. So here's the bottom line. A network's real power has nothing to do with its total user count. It's about the strength of the connections between those users. A small, tight-knit, high-trust network will beat a massive, disconnected one every single time. And hey, this isn't just some nice theory. Let's look at one of the biggest success stories in modern history. The exact strategy Facebook used to take over the world was a pure masterclass in starting with density. The secret to Facebook's early success is so counterintuitive, it's kind of shocking. They didn't start out trying to build one single massive global social network. No, they did the complete opposite. Their strategy was way smaller, way more focused, and because of that, it was infinitely more powerful. And this right here shows their genius. First, they focused on just one network, Harvard University. They didn't even think about another school until they had achieved almost total density, until pretty much every single student was on the platform and connected to each other. Only then, once that network was complete, did they move on to the next college, and the next, and the next, repeating that exact same process. They built a network of networks. But look, this isn't just a fun history lesson about Facebook. This is a real practical playbook. So let's talk about how you can actually apply these principles, and maybe, most importantly, how you know when it's the right time to finally make that jump from density to scale. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You've done the hard work. You've built a small, dense, valuable community. The temptation to just open the floodgates and go for reach is going to be huge. But if you get the timing wrong, you could kill the very thing you worked so hard to build. So how do you know when you're really, truly ready?
Well, here's a super simple checklist for you. You should only shift to a reach strategy when these three things are undeniably true. First, your users are talking to each other over and over again without you having to poke them. Second, the value they're getting is real and lasting. It's not just the novelty of something new. And third, leaving your network would actually feel like a real loss for them. It would be costly to leave.
And don't for a second think this only applies to building the next big social media giant. This whole mental model is your guide for so many different things today. Whether you're building an online community, a marketplace, an internal platform for your company, or even launching an early SaaS product, this density-first principle is your key to building a rock-solid foundation.
So we'll end right where we started, with one fundamental question. I want you to look at whatever you're building and ask yourself this. Is your growth strategy just about adding more connections to a database, or are you intentionally, deliberately building real, lasting relationships? Because the answer to that question will determine if you're building something that lasts.